So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. John Acom, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Would you all please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Now, Mark, could you please lead us with the announcements, please?
Sure can. We are proud of our graduates and invite the public to join us for this year's graduation ceremony on Saturday, June 8th at 10 a.m. Weather permitting, we'll hold the graduation ceremony outdoors at Jacobson Field. In the event of inclement weather, we'll move the ceremony indoors to the Barkin Arena at the same time, 10 a.m. Videogenics will again tape this year's graduation. You can begin placing orders now by calling 754-8411. Videogenics will also take orders at the ceremony on the 8th. We are now looking forward to the recognition of our retiring staff. There will be an open house for them on Sunday, June 2nd, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Beloit Country Club along Riverside Drive. The recognition part of the reception will begin at 3 p.m., and we invite our community to be part of the celebration of these treasured individuals. The last day of school this year is June 7th. This will be a regular full day of classes for our district students. Our high school students will go to class according to their exam schedules. We wish all our students, family, and staff a wonderful summer season. This concludes the May announcements.
Thank you, Mark. And well, speaking about resignations, recognitions, not resignations. Welcome Melissa Badger to the podium as we have 5 different recognitions this evening. Thank you, John.
Not quite ready to retire yet. I think I got a ways to go, but I have some great recognitions tonight. Before we start, though, we have a donation that I'm asking for approval for, and it is for the from the Dorothy E. Bigelow Charitable Trust Fund. They are donating $5,000 towards playground equipment for Gaston Elementary School. And so what I'd like to do is ask the board for a motion to accept the $5,000 donation from the Dorothy E. Bigelow Charitable Trust Fund towards the purchase of playground equipment at Gaston Elementary School.
Second.
We have a formal motion that's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we have some great staff in the audience tonight, and I'd like to ask 2 to come join me at the podium to begin with, along with their principal, Dr. Tom Johnson. We have Tony Capizzello and Barb Grayson, 2 of our Herb Cole fellows this year. Now I have to mention, these 2 are 2 of only 100 educators statewide who earn this prestigious award. Capizzello teaches several courses, but is well known for his work with the BMHS Culinary Arts Program, often in demand with many state and national visitors coming to the night spot. He has built several business partnerships and is accessible to his students, noting that, "I'm very fortunate that my life as a teacher is truly a life and not a career." Grayson is a science teacher at the high school who has worked to make her courses more relevant to students, using a wide variety of instructional strategies to deepen students' knowledge of concepts, including active experiments, research, debates, and writing. At the same time, she is active in curriculum writing over the summers and dives into professional development when offered in order to deepen her own understanding of the essential understandings and skills students must master. She also makes key connections to students, understanding the importance of a mutually respectful relationship in keeping students engaged in the classroom.
I'll be very brief. You're looking at this, these are the 2 out of many, but these are the 2. Tomorrow I'll spend the morning in interviews, and if I could hire someone with half of the heart, half of the curricular knowledge, half of the passion, half of the ability to rearrange their personal lives for us, that'd be a win. They're 2 times that plus. If you want to have fun, you're having a rough day as a principal and you want to go have fun and see kids engaged in classrooms, those are the first 2 classrooms I go to. I think when I first came, Barb probably thought I was like over-evaluating her. I just wanted to be in her room. And if you go down to the kitchen, Tony can Tony can set you straight in his own flair way when you need to be set straight. But they, by far, deserve this like no others. So congratulations to them.
And I have to say, of these two, working with Tony has been a blast, and I am so impressed with the way students come to you. They trust you, they love working with you, and you can tell that you make it worthwhile to come to class. And Mrs. Grayson, my niece is in one of your classes, and when I told her that she was having this recognition, I think her exact words were, "OMG, she is awesome." So she talks about you all the time, and I know these are very well deserved. So we have certificates of appreciation in recognition of exceptional professionalism in teaching and receiving state honors by earning a Herb Kohl Educational Foundation Teacher Fellow Award.
I just wanted to start by saying just a sincere thank you to the board and to Steve McNeil and to Tom Johnson, who have really just put your trust in me and know that I'm really, truly committed to the school district. To all of my colleagues who are not here today, if you could see all the people that have supported me throughout the 4 years that I've been here, they would fill this room. And, you know, when it comes down to it, it's the students. I'm here for the students. I get up in the morning for you, and you're the reason why I come to Beloit every single day. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
I don't want to just say ditto, but honestly ditto, all across the board. And the support from the administration and the staff through my 7 years now here has just been incredible. And the respect that they give you to do the job as you see it fit is very unique in a school. And for that, I'm very grateful, and that is why I've readjusted my whole life to stay here. So, in addition to that, one other key link in everything, honestly, is our partnership with Aramark, and particularly with Dawn. The kids and the co-op program has taken just a huge leap in the last few years because of that partnership, and it's just great for the kids, and as we're seeing, it's good for the district too. So hope to see that continue, and thanks too.
And I just want to say on behalf of the Board of Education, thank you to you both for all that you do and for your passion. And I have to say, when you think about those who think outside the box and are willing to go that extra mile, you two, both of you emulate that. And I second the fact that going to your classrooms is a whole different experience. So those of you who haven't, you definitely want to do so and enjoy their time there. And thank you for all that you do for us. Back to you.
We have several groups of very dedicated students here tonight. The first group I'd like to bring forward is our yearbook students and their advisor, Jennifer Schmitz, one of our professional educators at the high school. If you could please join me at the podium. I have to say, and I know this always comes to my mind every time we get a yearbook, it's always a unique piece of art. It's memories that we cherish, and I know for a fact how much work goes into this. And the fact that these students take this on, spend the hours doing so, and carefully and putting together this treasure is just absolutely incredible. And I want to thank you, Jennifer, as well for advising this great group of students. Say a few words.
Hello. I just want to say it was a great opportunity, especially as a class. I am so thankful that this was a class. The time that we were able to spend with doing the yearbook and the amount of time the kids had learning the different aspects of the yearbook, because it's more than just taking pictures and writing something on a page. It's a whole layout, it's a whole book, it's memories for a lifetime that these students were dealing with. And they've learned so much, and so many of them like it so much that they want to come back again, and they're going to come back, and they're going to be advisors to the new students coming in. I'm just so thankful for the opportunity for them and for us, and I think you're all going to love the yearbook this year and buy them. We have plenty. And They wanted to want them to say anything that, just something that you like about the yearbook. Go ahead. I know it's very shy. What did you like about the yearbook? What did you like about the class? They get shy when they're in front of people, but not like this in class. All right.
Well, I know it's tremendous work that you do behind the scenes, and I'm so excited to see it when it comes out. And we'll also have copies for the board available once they do. But we want to make sure that we acknowledge you for all the hard work before you left for the summer, because I know that schedules get really busy. So I will hand these to your advisor. But what they say is it's a certificate of appreciation in recognition of professionalism and leadership demonstrated during the production of the Beloit Memorial High School Yearbook, a district and community treasured keepsake.
All right, thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to ask Samantha DeForest Davis to join me at the podium. So fun to embarrass people out there. Samantha has been an incredible student rep for our school district. She provides us with input, kind of the buzz on what the students are thinking in schools. She's attended above and beyond what her obligation is here to attend board meetings. For that, we're very thankful that you put in that extra work and thought into your task here. So I'm going to open this up to the other board members who have worked with you throughout this year.
John?
Well, I've just learned that you are going to Augustana College in the fall. It's an excellent school, highly selective in their admissions. You're to be congratulated for getting in. You'll do great there. And you are, by the way, symbolic of a whole lot of our other kids who are going on to great post-secondary education. And we have a lot of kids from your class and from every senior class that go on to great colleges and great universities. And so that's great. As far as you personally are concerned, I want to thank you for your interest that you've shown as student representative of the board. One of the things I've noticed about you is that you tend to show up more often in meetings other than the televised board meeting than any other student rep that I can remember. And so I think that's great. I think it's a sign of interest. Perhaps it's a sign of where you plan to go with your career someday, I don't know. And but in any event, I think it's great, and you've been a great representative. Thank you.
Missy?
Thank you for being our representative, Samantha. It's been wonderful having you here. And will ditto everything else that John said. But one thing that always amazed me is you must be very popular, because when you give us the buzz, it's across the board. And I always feel like when you say it, it must be what the majority of kids are talking about. So we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
John?
Oh, I'll just say thank you for joining us at this end of the table, at the good end down here. I think that, Samantha, I very much appreciate your comments and your insights into what's happening at the high school. And I do think, Missy is on to something. I think that you've now had an opportunity to serve on a school board. So guess what? Put that on your resume, and when you go out and run for office, count us at some point in this life and say, hey, I was on a school board at one point in time. And they'll all go, you couldn't do this, run for Senate. So we want you to wish you well and hope you go on and do get involved in the community. So thanks.
Nora?
I just wanted to say thank you too for serving. And one thing that I've really appreciated in all of the other meetings that you've attended as well is you just seem to be so calm in your engaging smile. It just makes it look like you're having fun in addition to providing us with information. And so thank you for serving. And I wish you well.
Thanks.
I guess I'll round it out by saying thanks. As you've heard from others, your commitment to the board has been phenomenal, and I thank you for that. And I also thank you for the transparency and the integrity and the honesty of which you shared. We've had some hot topics this past year, and you have not refrained from not taking an opinion. And you've let us know exactly what the student body is thinking, and you've been an outstanding representative for the students within the district. So thank you for doing it with integrity. Thank you for doing it with transparency. And best of luck to you. I know you're not going to need it because you're destined for greatness, but best of luck to you, and we'll definitely miss you.
Now, I have to say, you definitely bring joy to others because I see you out in this community and at your work, at school, and you always have a bright smile for everybody. And I hope you always keep that. It's a beautiful smile. You have a lot of joy and a lot to offer for the world. So I get to be the one that has the honor of giving this to you in recognition of professional service as a student representative for the Board of Education, as well as a gift from us. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, good. And we have, with our final recognition, another great group of students. So I am excited to ask our Beloit Memorial High School swim teams and their coaches, Dick Vogel and Kim Waite, to join me at the podium. Yep. Don't be shy. Come on up.
Just jump right in there, gang. Just be glad the whole team didn't show up.
And we have yet another example of Purple Night pride here with these students. Before we let the coaches come up here, I just have to say that it was exciting to hear that the National Interscholastic Swimming Coaches Association of America awarded the Gold Award to the members of the High School Lady Tide for the 8th year in a row that the team has earned this honor. The ladies achieved this with a varsity GPA of 3.91, more than meeting the minimum of 3.75. And the Purple Tide men's team received the Silver Award this year with a varsity team GPA of 3.63, again, more than meeting the 3.5 minimum required. And this is the 7th year in a row that the boys team has received a National Academic Award, and the third year in a row receiving the Silver Award. So really proud of them as well. So you can see that they have just as much success in the classroom, in fact, a lot of success in the classroom as they do in the pool. And actually, to tell you a little bit more about that, we'll start with the men's coach, Dick Vogel.
When Mr. Ferger hired me 28 years ago to be the head boys swimming coach, in my job description, I was in charge of swimming K through 12. But at the time, we only had swimming 9 through 12. But over time, we were able to develop the program, and we've always kind of liked to run the girls and the guys program together as one team. And when Kim came on board after she graduated from college to become the head girls coach, and Mr. DeCoke, who was my assistant now for 22 years, took over our middle school program, we've actually seen swimming grow exponentially in Beloit. And not only do we want to establish great swimmers in Beloit, but we also want to establish great people. And that is shown by the standards that we've set for this team, not just in the pool, but in the classroom. And I know our girls' overall GPA for the whole team, and there's over 40 girls on the team, was well over a 3.0. And what we have over 28, 24.0. You know, our girls' team has 24.0s on the team, which says a lot for the standards that they set, the competition that they have for each other. So it's kind of cool, but it is really cool. But we've able to build this program now in the last 10 years, and now K through 12 with our summer program jointly run with the city and the school district, and our middle school teams. Now we have over 300 kids K through 12 who swim in Beloit now, which is really outstanding. And this year we'll be adding springboard diving to our program, so that'll be really cool. So anybody who's got any gymnastics ability and wants to be a diver, yeah, we're looking for you. So we had some great kids this year. I'd like to recognize especially our seniors who have been with us. And how many of you guys have been with us since 6th grade? 6th grade? A long time. And pretty soon we'll be asking who's been with us since kindergarten. But our seniors this year, we had Madeline Franklin, who's not here with us tonight. I think she's working. She is going to be going to St. Cloud State in the fall, and she'll be swimming there. Kevin Wynn, who is a senior, and he'll be going to University of Wisconsin, and he received the Chancellor Scholarship. I think that's what he won. And Christian Daniels here, who was our the national qualifier this year, is going to be going to Owlet Nazarene on a swimming scholarship. So that's really cool. And half of it, I shouldn't say just swimming scholarship, but half of it was academic. So it says a lot for what we're, it's not just swimming, it's all about the whole thing, making great people. Thank you.
And I know that right now public education, of course, is going through some changes, and I would just challenge anybody to come here, take a look at our high school, and see the amazing kids, the amazing staff that we have here. There are wonderful things happening in the school district of Beloit, in the Beloit community. And we're very proud of these students, and I get to be the one who has some certificates. And I'm going to give these to your coaches to hand out. These are in recognition of the tremendous academic achievement and teamwork on the 2012-13 Beloit Memorial High School swim team. So proud of you guys.
John?
I just want to add, we heard that we've seen the swim program grow exponentially, and indeed we have. I'd like to suggest that that exponential growth is just getting started with that new edifice that's going up alongside of the high school. We've got an extraordinary swimming pool under construction right now, and it's going to be an asset to this community. It's going to be an asset to this high school. It's going to be something that's going to attract visitors to this community. It's going to attract other teams. We're going to host meets. We're going to do a lot of things we haven't been able to do for a while or ever. And it's an extraordinary time for the swim team, and it's just getting started.
Thank you, John. John Winkleman?
I was just going to ask Steve, do you remember if we put the sound speakers in the pool so they can get class lectures while they swim, or did we leave that out?
The swimmers do want speakers in the water.
And again, on behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for putting Beloit on the map nationally. It's not, I wouldn't say it's not too often, but it is a unique opportunity when we have our academics and our extracurriculars that come together, and the synergy of which we see within our swim team. And not only do you meet and make expectations, but you exceed it tremendously over and over again. So thank you for putting Beloit on the map. Thank you for all your hard work to the program and to our academics. And thank you for putting Beloit out there where they should be. So thank you and congratulations to you all. At this point, we are now at the point of our agenda where I would ask that if there are citizens or delegations that would like to speak to areas of interest that are not included on tonight's agenda, to please approach the podium. If there is anybody who would like to speak to an item that is not on tonight's agenda, there's a bunch of legalese that I need to read. Otherwise, I will forego everybody that diatribe. Seeing none. At this point, I'd turn it over to Superintendent Steve McNeil for Superintendent's reports to the board.
Thank you. As we have in the last couple of months, I have a couple of principals here to give us some updates on their particular schools. So we have Trey Brown, Tina Hansen, and Melody Wergo here to kind of talk to us about their three schools.
Good evening. My name's Trey Brown. I'm the principal of Cunningham Elementary School, and I'm going to present a little bit about my school and also with Tina Hansen about Morgan Elementary School. But before I get into any of the data or the points of pride that we have for this year, last summer when I took the job at Cunningham, we were going through a big reconfiguration with switching from a K-5 to a 4-5. We had 3 teachers that were on my staff that were at Cunningham. The rest of the teachers came from Gaston and Hackett. Many of those teachers actually thought they were going to be retiring from those buildings. A lot of them had been there 20 plus years. And right away I was reminded about what brought me back to Beloit. The teachers' attitude, even through that difficult time, was extremely positive. We came together as a staff better than I could ever ask for. There wasn't one complaint about the whole move all that summer. and I was just really blown away by the amount of work and effort that they put in. And when I was here before, I had the opportunity to work with some great principals. Many of them are retiring and on their way out now. And they taught me one thing that has stuck with me all through my 6 years as a principal, which is that good principals advocate for their buildings. And I just want to say, before I get into the data, that to thank you to that staff, because when I see what they bring every single day, when I see what they brought over that summer, it's extremely easy for me to go to work every day and advocate for them, to put them in the best situation to educate our students. So when I go through these points of pride tonight, very briefly, it's not about me. It's about the work that they do. It's about the work that our students do and what our families do as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Tina. She's going to give a quick introduction, and I'll be right back.
Trey and I represent the 4-5 schools for the School District of Beloit. We worked real closely together to work toward the transition of the 4-8 development, and we're real excited to merge into that over time and have our community with us for several years, as we have in the past. One thing that Trey didn't share, we're both graduates from the School District of Beloit, and that says so much about this district when we come back truly as servants to serve and move our children on to yet another generation of great achievers. And people that are here, I think the ceremony prior to this really represents the fact that you have humble servants that are extremely child-centered and here to do whatever they need to do to focus on our children's learning first and foremost. So I'm humbled to be here and very happy to have the partnership with the colleagues that I have here for the School District of Beloit. Collectively as a district, we don't work individually by our sites. We work as an entire district. And we heavily research the best practice strategies on how we can move all children to high levels of achievement. One thing about Beloit is we truly make no excuses. We hit the issues head on. We address them. We collaboratively work together to determine what makes children achieve to their highest levels and why are children struggling, some and not achieving. And we've recognized that we can't do that behind the closed doors of our own classroom. We have to do that by researching the best practices out there, visiting other sites that are achieving to the very best, and then coming together and collectively problem solving and looking at the data and determining how we can help children move to the next level. And what you'll find is through the Beloit strategic plan, we've systematically worked to formulate professional learning communities where the entire district meets once a month to study best practice strategies and to collaboratively look at common assessments and determine how our children are achieving and making sure that they're achieving what the state and nation's expecting that they achieve. For those that are not, we look at strategies through response to intervention on how we can give them increased quality time and focus to definitely move and excel to the next levels. At our site, there's a commitment for grade levels to meet twice a week during their prep and after school prep times, again, to look at the common assessments within our own building and collectively work it as teams on how we can move children forward. We look at data. We have a lot of emotion because we are such a compassionate group of educators, but we do make sure that we're data driven and continually look at the data to inform our instruction.
Tina mentioned some of the things that we do in the district to help students progress. Cunningham, this year, our fourth graders, when they came in on the MAPS test for reading, came in 10.6 points below the national norm as a group in the fall on the reading. When we took the tests in the winter, the national norm for growth during that time frame, the average student in the country that takes the MAPS is 3.4. Cunningham's average doubled that. We were 6.2. So we closed that gap between Cunningham, fourth graders, and the national norm by 7.8 points. So we're now only 7.8 points below the national norm instead of 10.6. So they came in below grade level, the national norm, but we are closing that gap, and we are doubling the rate that students are progressing. The African American students from fall to winter went up 5.6. The Hispanic students, 6 points. The average white student was 6.5, and students who were low income were 6.2. And one of the biggest things we're proud of is our special education population increased 9.8 points. So when you look at where they come in and where we're moving them and the rate we're moving them up, we are doubling and sometimes tripling the national norm based on the tests. I'm going to go to math. With math, and I'll talk about some of our achievements in math, this has really been a big place of pride for Cunningham. But the national norm from fall to winter is 4.9 in the nation. Cunningham, we doubled that again with math. We're at 9.1 points. The African American students, again, the national norm was 4.9. The African American students grew 10.3 points, which is more than double. The Hispanic students grew 7 points. White students 9.2 points, and the students on low income, students who are low income, 8.8 points. Special education students, again, 8.9 points, and our ELLs from fall to winter, 6.6. So again, Cunningham was 9 points below the national norm in the fall for fourth grade math, and now we cut that in half. In the winter, we cut it in half at 4.8. So May 31st, again, we'll be done with this round of MAPS testing, so we are looking to close that gap even further.
It's truly exciting to watch teachers and children exit the computer lab after they've completed either their math or reading section of MAPS, and literally cheer with excitement. We just had a Star Blast at Morgan Elementary School, which celebrated student achievement and also celebrated excellent citizenship in our students. And it definitely raises the conscientious level of each child when they can self-assess and determine what their growth can be and actually be a part of that action plan in formulating that growth. As Trey indicated, we're in the process of completing our spring session right now for MAP testing. One critical number to keep in mind when you listen to the growth that we're making is the fact that the national norm growth for fourth grade reading is 3.4 from fall to winter. You heard Trey's results, again, very highly impressive, and those results continue to be the case at each 4-5 site. The Morgan average from fall to winter growth was 7.1. We doubled the national norm average. The Black average from fall to winter was 6.8. The Hispanic average, 6.5. White average, 7.8. Free reduced lunch, 7.7. Special education average, 8.3. And our ELL average, 5.9. Every demographic area exceeded the growth of the national average growth, which is quite exciting. In the area of fourth grade math, the norm growth expected from fall to winter is 4.9. The Morgan average growth from fall to winter was 10.2. Again, more than double the national growth. Our Black average was 8.7. Hispanic average of growth, 11 points. White average 10.3, free reduced average 10.3, special education average 9.1, and our ELL average 10.1. Once again, in math, every demographic area exceeded the growth of the national norm. Pretty exciting evidence.
Back to Cunningham, fifth grade reading. The national norm from fall to winter is 2.7. Our school average, again, more than doubled that. We grew 5.9. African Americans, more than about triple that, with 8 points. The Hispanic average was 3.7. White average was 6.4, again, more than doubled. Cunningham, our low-income students was +6, more than double. And Cunningham School special education students was 4.2. And the ELL average from fall to winter is 3.4. So our challenge is to close that gap to the national norm as far as where our students are performing overall. Cunningham School was 9.2 points below the national norm in the fall for fifth grade reading. Now at the winter, we were only 6 points, and hopefully after we take the test here in May 31st, we'll cut that even lower. So fifth grade math. The national norm from fall to winter, the growth was 4.9. Cunningham School average from fall to winter was 9.1, which was little less than double, but still a lot more. The black average was 8.6. Hispanic average was 8.4. The white average from fall to winter was 9.8. Students who are low income was 9.5. Again, our highest and one we're most proud of, our special education average from fall to winter was 10.1. And our ELL average from fall to winter, 6.8. Again, Cunningham School in the fall, we were 7.4 points below the national norm in the fall. In the winter, we were only 3.2. So we're looking to not only be at the national norm after May 31st, but to exceed it, to be better than it with math, some of the things we had going on in math. So again, every group is beating the national norm growth at that pace. And again, we have to keep in mind, we're a two-year school. Really, Cunningham, I mean, obviously is the oldest building in the district. However, our staff coming together as a 4-5 is only a two-year school. So we got things moving at a rapid pace in a quick amount of time to get students caught up and to get them to that national norm level. So we're on the right track. So.
As you can probably tell, having a colleague like Trey keeps things a little competitive, which is always good. He keeps us on the edge, so I look forward to that each time we meet. Oh, I've been trying to avoid wearing these here. We'll see if I can get through this. For our fifth grade MAPS reading, as Trey indicated, the national norm from fall to winter is 2.7. The mortgage average rate of growth from fall to winter was 5.7. The black average, 6.9. Hispanic average, 5.9. White average, 5.2. Free reduced average, 6 points. Special ed average, 8.4. And our ELL average, 5 points. Morgan School started out 4.1 points below the national norm. At the winter time, we are 1.1 points away from the national norm. We hope to meet or exceed that by the end of the school year. Once again, every demographic area exceeded the growth of the national norm average rate. In the area of math, the national norm for math a little higher at 4.9 points. Morgan School grew 8.1 points from fall to winter. Black average grew 7.8. Hispanic average 7.3. White average 8.7. Free reduced average 8 points. Special ed 7.3 and ELL 6.1. At the beginning of the year, we were 5.5 points away below the national norm. At wintertime, we are 2.3 points away, and again, look forward to closing that gap by the end of this year. And very proud to announce that in all areas, every demographic area exceeded the national average growth rate.
Cunningham's parent survey that all of the schools in the district try to get as many parents as possible to take, usually during conferences. Our results were 98% expressed a belief that Cunningham educators care for their children. 95% feel that Cunningham School is a safe environment. 95% of the parent survey feel that Cunningham communicates good things about their child as well as areas of concern about their child. 95% feel positive about Cunningham, and 98% feel they are active partners in their child's education. So these results, obviously we take these extremely seriously. When we plan things, events, ways parents can get involved, also with the staff, how they're communicating with parents on a regular basis, and we're very pleased with those results. However, we do strive to make sure every parent is satisfied with what we're doing at school. It's not always easy. However, we are pleased with those results and feel like we have some good things with our parents at Cunningham.
The parent survey results really came to prove, once we looked at the outcome, that we tend to be more challenging on ourselves than our parent population is. We're always, I think this district really looks to the areas that we need to grow and develop in. And what Steve has helped us learn is we've got to celebrate what we do well and put our energy into what we do well and watch that grow and flourish. And this was one of those times where that happened. At Morgan, 99% of our parents expressed a belief that we provide a safe, secure, respectful environment for all children and parents to learn within. 97.5% of our parents indicated that Morgan educators care for their children. 100%, and this is one thing that we always challenge ourselves to do, is to enhance the parent partnerships. 100% of our parents that completed the survey feel that they are active partners in our child's education. 99% believe that their calls and questions are responded to thoughtfully and respectfully within an efficient time frame. 98% of the parents express that school reports positive attributes about their child's area of growth, and 98% feel that their children are positive about their school. And we did this following parent-teacher conferences. So at parent-teacher conferences, we really do get a positive turnout. And after they complete the survey, they get baked goods from our old-fashioned bakery, so that's a good incentive for them. So we do feel that we have a good representation of parents taking this survey.
I use that next year, old-fashioned bakery, always works. Awards for Cunningham Elementary School this year. Nettie Scoville was a wonderful fifth grade student that we have. Took first place in the local and state level for fifth grade in the DAR History Essay Contest. Ben Leischer, who is an outstanding fifth grader math student, took first place in the local and state Math 24 competition for fifth grade. He also was the winner in both those competitions last year as a fourth grader. 280 on his math test. Outstanding student. And both of these kids, one of the things, obviously they're proud of themselves and their families are proud of them, but they really raised the bar math-wise for our fifth grade class. And it's a team of them, it's a group of those kids that really get after it in the math. And I think you can see it with our fifth grade math maps. A lot of the other kids have benefited for having such students in their classroom who are passionate about the subjects, doing the extra stuff. So I'm very proud of both of them, but also excited that they also raised the bar for us as a building with math. So Nettie Scoville and Ben Leisher, obviously their families are proud of them, and we're very proud of them as well. Our Math 24 regional competition for 4th and 5th graders, Cunningham won 9 out of the 12 trophies. So we did, like Tina said, we are competitive here at times, and we did beat everybody in that. Math 24 state competition for 4th and 5th graders at the state level, Cunningham won 7 out of 12 trophies. And our first in math team was first in the district and first in the state. Ben Leisher, again, Cunningham took second place out of 64 students in a statewide math meet. And as a staff, we were one of the staffs that were 100% staff contribution to the United Way. So we have some great things going on at Cunningham. We're really excited about the math, and we're going to take that same approach to the literacy a little stronger next year. But math and the Math 24 and a lot of those math competitions are something the kids get excited about, the staff gets excited about, and we're very pleased with our teams this year academically.
Another thing that's great about our colleagues here in the school district of Beloit is after you see a win like that with the math meet, you better believe I picked up the phone the next day and I'm like, all right, Dr. Brown, tell me how you did this. And the beauty of it is, he does, but I'm not going to share that with the world to know right now. We're going to keep that in the school district of Beloit. So real excited to have this collaborative effort. A few highlights for Morgan Awards. Delta Kappa Gamma, we had our best illustrator and first, second, and third place winners. We were very fortunate to go to the state level for Destination Imagination, state level for Math 24, and we were also published in Southern Lakes Anthology. And that was in both areas, 4th and 5th grade, moving on to 5th. We had published works in Yahara River Writers Anthology, 2 of our students. Math regional competition, because Dr. Brown took first and second. We took third, and one other student qualified for this competition. Delta Kappa Gamma, we had first, second, and third place winners, and also the Modern Woodman District competition. We took second place, moving on to the state competition. So real proud of our students' achievement.
Community involvement at Cunningham. We have a partnership, a very strong partnership, and one that we're very proud of with the Boys and Girls Club, our after-school program, and also with lunch. Fred Buggs and David Wilson have done an outstanding job reaching out to the schools, and I'm very appreciative of what we were able to do with them this year. Obviously, the after-school programs is something they've been doing for a couple of years now, but this year they helped us out on the playground at lunch, organizing soccer games and organizing kickball games, and it's really made a huge difference with the behaviors. You talk to any elementary principal, the most nerve-wracking hour of your day is lunch recess with the behaviors and fights and things like that. So anytime you can partner with the community or anybody for that matter, we take help from just about anybody who will make that hour better. It goes a long way in making sure those kids get back to the classroom, not in your office after lunch, so they can learn. And the Boys and Girls Club stepped up to that. Also, another group that stepped up this year in helping us out was the YMCA. We had them come over, and actually they organized a flag football game and also a dance type of setup for a lot of our students during lunch as well, for students to participate in. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, we had two Boy Scout troops at our school and 2 Girl Scout troops, one for 4th and 5th grade, that met on a regular basis at Cunningham. The Beloit Public Library has done a lot with us. At the beginning of the year at our open house, they're always there with a booth, and they sign students up for library cards to make sure they have updated library cards and things like that. The Girls Who Rock program is a program that meets with 5th grade girls for 6 weeks, once a week, with a lot of role models in the community to mentor some of our young ladies. So a lot of probably, say 80% of our 5th grade girls participated in the program last year and this year. and had an excellent experience with that. And they teach things like self-esteem, self-awareness, setting goals for yourself, and that type of thing. And Mr. Acom knows about, his name's still on the wall down there, the Da Vinci Room, the Da Vinci Club at Cunningham. We did, Dr. Pickett did an outstanding job setting that up, getting us grants and working with Belay College on that. We are doing that in conjunction with our after-school program and some of our academic types of things. Sue Swedlin, who's a paraeducator, comes in after school and works with some of our gifted and more creative students. So we do that with the Boys and Girls Club, but then we also set up special clubs for students who are extremely into being very more creative with music and art and that type of stuff. So Mr. Acom, that room is getting used a lot still. So I know that was a dream of yours, and also Dr. Pickett. So we are using that. It is an awesome room, and even with the configuration or the construction, that room's going to be kept and still utilized. So those are some of the ways we reach out to the community and work with the community in our school.
We're fortunate as a district to share similar resources for our community-based services. Other highlights outside of what Trey mentioned that are specific to Morgan is positive behavior intervention is something that our district as a whole truly focuses on and commits monies to support all staff in getting training on. We did reach fidelity in Tier 1 and are looking to those children in Tier 2 that need additional assistance to maintain a positive learning focus day in and day out is our next training area. Very proud of the fact that our student council hosted a penny war, and we were able to feed 20 of our own families at Morgan School a holiday dinner, and it was a complete holiday dinner. And they were a part of purchasing that and putting that together and delivering it to our families. I had mentioned our Star Blast celebrations. We also bring in community readers. I think most of us here have been a part of that community reading program for our students. Our fourth graders participated in a wax museum where they were able to research their person of pride, dress as them, and give autobiography information on them. And we have a veteran come in each day that raises and lowers the flag and says the pledge with our fifth grade students. So in honor of our community members, thank you for making this a better place for our children. Dr. Brown and I were able to sit down and go over our staff survey results, and we're constantly looking at how we can create a healthier learning environment for our staff. And we found some common focus between both surveys. And impressively, the staff indicated that they felt that we have a positive, healthy culture and working environment where individuals are consistently treated with respect, communicated with effectively, engaged in shared decision-making, and collaboratively support one another to meet the academic, social, emotional needs of all students. So that was the common strand that we were most impressed with. Thank you for your time. We appreciate being here tonight.
I just have to remind you, Dr. Brown, that Ben Leisure and Eddie Scoville came from Gaston. Okay, we'll move through this quickly. We have pictures in ours because, you know, elementary, we're all about having cute things, so. Okay, at the beginning of the school year, one of our goals was to embrace the coaching model, because I'm a firm believer that if you expect teachers to do something, you need to make sure they have the knowledge to do it. So we spent 10 weeks training our teachers, going back and reviewing balanced literacy, and these two people you probably No, Mrs. Weber is my reading specialist. Okay, Vanna, come on. And then that's Mr. Weber. But Mrs. Weber spent a lot of time with the staff. She went in, she modeled for the staff how to do the 4 components of balanced literacy. She worked side by side with the teachers, and then she worked with them, let them teach on their own, and then they had some debriefing afterwards. So it's really helped our reading scores. As part of a Title I school, we have to have family nights, and we do those every month. One of our first family nights was PBIS because we are into the Tier 2 Fidelity at this point. We've already met Fidelity in Tier 1. So we had a family night, and part of our goal was to have students model behaviors for their parents. So we had the students be the teachers that night. So you can see in this slide that, and plus we always feed them, so they come if we feed them. The one slide, the students are going up the steps the wrong way, and then this slide, the students are coming down the steps the correct way, and then we had all of our parents practice. So we tried to get that partnership going. I will say that PBIS has really helped our behavior. I think at this point, I think I only have 13 discipline referrals for the whole year. So it's been kind of a nice reprieve from some behavior issues. We have a few frequent flyers, but for the most part, it's working very well. One of our other family nights was we had trunk or treat. We had a lot of parents involved. We tried to do a safe activity for kids. It's after school. Parents came, they donated candy, we had fun. It was just a fun night. I will say there was nothing educational, but it was just a fun night for parents to be there. We probably had about 400 people in the parking lot that night. So when you have family nights at the elementary school, you have a huge turnout usually. We average between 200 and 300 people every time. So Steve got to witness that today at the picnic because the playground was full. So we have quarterly PBIS assemblies. Students are recognized for their academics as well as their behaviors and their character traits. And so we have something, I used to use little tags at GASA, now we're using charms at Todd. So they earn charms for their different academic goals and their behavior goals. And so by now, most of the kids have about 30 charms around the chain on their neck. So we do that quarterly. It's can get a little rowdy, but we try to get them motivated to have their best behavior for the whole nother quarter. One of the things that's been our mission is to try to teach kindergarten through 3rd grade students how to reach out to the community and help other people. So we collected pennies for patients, we did pennies for patients, but we did Kids Against Hunger first thing in the fall. We collected coins for Thanksgiving baskets, and we delivered 28 Thanksgiving baskets to our own families in our own neighborhoods. And then we also did Christmas gifts. This picture you see is for Pennies for Patients. They did an assembly for us, and we collected $879 for Pennies for Patients, which is it's a program for kids that have cancer, and this is just showing that they were teaching them about the good cells and the bad cells in the body. So one of the things that was new to Todd this year, we did Grandparents' Day. It was a little overwhelming. We had so many grandparents that day. We had, you can see Mrs. Buffington's family, a 3-generation family there. We had a lot of people in our building. I think I counted the sign-in. We had over 282 grandparents that came through that day. We did it in the afternoon. We did it the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and so they came in. They did some activities with the grandparents. They did something, and we, visited. But it was really nice to see that many generations come through the door. Because part of my goal is to get people into Todd and see there's a lot of fun things going on. We were lucky enough to have an Excel after-school grant. We meet daily. We do from 3:10 until 5:15 every day. We do 45 minutes of reading, 45 minutes of math. We have a snack involved, and we have some playtime involved. We have a strong partnership with Beloit College. I think because Todd is so close to the college, we have a lot of students that come over. We do something called Reading Buddies, and we usually average about 30 to 40 students in the fall and 30 to 40 students spring semester that come in twice a week, and they read one-on-one with students. So that's been a great success. We usually do 2nd graders first semester, and then we do 1st graders second semester. We had Drama Club. Mrs. Guile, most of you know Mrs. Guile. we decided we would look at the whole cultural piece, and so she picked a play that really depicted cultural proficiency, and we made all these different desserts that we served that night. We did it in December. So these are just pictures of some of her drama students. She had 31 students involved. One of our other family nights was math night. Every classroom had math games set up, and parents went around from station to station, and they played math games with their students. We used the Math Investigations curriculum to teach parents some of the games that they can play at home with their students. We were lucky enough to have 3 Destination Imagination teams. To be honest with you, we could probably have 7 or 8 Destination Imagination teams at Todd if we had enough adults that would be willing to do it, because we have kids begging to be on a team every year. So it's become a quite competitive process. So Mrs. Guile and a couple other teachers can't stretch yourself that thin, though. This was in February. We had a cultural night. We had every classroom study a different country, and then they made foods. They had artifacts, and we developed a passport, and students went around and showed their parents different things they'd learned about all the countries. This was in March. We had Dr. Seuss reading night, which is always fun because we had green eggs and ham, and we had reading activities going on throughout the building. Part of our goal is to look at the academics, but it's also to get students engaged, as we try to have as many activities as possible with the staff that we have. We have a Just Say No Club, we have student council, we have a PBIS Spirit Squad, we have some children that love to be the cheerleaders at the PBIS assemblies. This was one of our last family nights. We had PE night. Our PE teacher used some of the materials from the PEP grant, and she explained to the parents how some of those materials were being used. So we had things set up around the building. We didn't have quite as many parents come that night. I guess they didn't want to exercise. So this was just last week. We finally broke ground. Our construction is going actually very rapidly. It's amazing how fast it moves once they start digging. These are some of our students at the groundbreaking. It turned into a nice day. All the students were involved, and Culver's supported us by giving us custard, so that was sort of fun. This was our carnival last year. It was a huge success. That's coming up this Saturday, so anyone that wants to come to the carnival is welcome to come. There's Mr. Weber again. We keep recruiting him to help us. And then we'll go into the data. When I first went to Todd, those of you that know me, my background is in kindergarten, so I'm of the mindset that if we let them get behind in kindergarten, we're going to be playing catch up forever. So we really tackled kindergarten to begin with, and we looked at the literacy of the math piece. So you can see this is the national norm, and this is where we are as far as reading goes. We still have some areas we have to work on. Our special ed population is making tremendous growth in our ELL population, but they're not quite to the national norms in the winter, but we're hoping we'll get there by spring. Mrs. Hanson and Dr. Brown were talking about, 5 and 6 point growth. We have like a 15 to 20 point growth at this young level, because they move so quickly. So as you can see, the national norm for reading was 151. Our black students were 152.4 in the winter. Our Hispanic students were 149, so they didn't quite make the cut, but they're close. So we're seeing really fast growth, which is exciting. I've really worked hard, along with Mrs. Weber, with our kindergarten teachers to get them moving. If you look at the math scores, you can see that the black students are like 0.3 points below the national norm, but everyone else is above the national norm in winter. So, because most of my students are going to Mrs. Hanson, so I have to make sure I get them ready. So, first grade, you can see it's sort of embedded in there, that national norm, but they're kind of up and down. Right now, our white students are above the average. Everyone else is making good growth. They're not quite there yet, so hopefully they will be there in the spring with reading. And then this is the math scores for first grade. We always see that dip in the fall, and hopefully we keep working to try to remedy that in summer school. Which, by the way, we topped 900 students today in summer school for elementary, so. This is Todd's second grade. You can see the national norm. We're making good growth towards it. We're not quite there. Not too many points off. And this is second grade for math. And then this is third grade, reading. And then third grade math. We've really seen some really strong growth in math, and I think it's the long-term use of investigations, to be honest with you. I think over the 4 or 5 years, we've seen that growth really spurt up, so. We're looking at some new things at Todd next year. We're going to do some looping with some of our classes to hopefully keep that relationship going. We're adding 4K on site. We're adding 3-year-old EC on site. We're moving towards a 6-section school, so our capacity will be almost 500 students. So the construction needs to move really quickly. So thank you. Those are just a few highlights. There's a lot of things going on at Todd, but I just want to share some highlights. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Melody. We had 3 superstar principals up there, presenting for us today, but I think Lene and I often talk about what a great group of principals we had, but they lead a great bunch of people and staff too. So next we have a group from, I know Jeremy's here from Mid-States, and if you guys are going to get up and give us a little presentation. Mid-State's been in partnership with the School District of Beloit during the construction process, and it's nice to have them here to kind of share with us what they've been doing here.
Good evening. While Jeremy's getting set up, I'll just say a few words. But my name's Hagen Harker, and I'm first of all, I'm a Beloit born and raised, and I take great pride in the fact that I'm from Beloit and was raised here. I went to school in this building, and to be a part of the future of Beloit and Beloit education is a great honor. And I realize as you listen to these incredible teachers and educators come in here, it's about the people and the kids. And so Jeremy and I are here just to say thank you for the opportunity. As a businessman in the area, I want you to know that, and having grown up here, there's a couple connections that I make. The greatest advancements in life come from the struggles, and Beloit is not short on struggles. And I can tell you that the way Beloit thinks and the way Beloit gets ahead of everyone else out of the gate is because we have struggles and we own them. We recognize them, we address them. A lot of communities do not get that, and Beloit gets it, and it's evident in what the voters said when they approved this referendum. It's not easy to do that, and I applaud the community. I'm not surprised because it's just the way we are. It's who we are, it's how we operate, and I'm just honored to be a part of it, and I want to say thank you to Steve, to the board for forward thinking. It doesn't come without some push and some understanding, and I would say for those of you who are here tonight, it's with great honor and great pride. Thank you for having us. So, Jeremy, take it away.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for letting us be part of your night. I'm Jeremy Alavati with Mid-States Concrete, and it's been first of all, thanks for letting us be part of it, and more importantly, just for letting us be your construction partner. This is a huge deal for us as a business. Also, we have so many people within our company that are residents and their kids go to school here, so there's a lot of pride that we have as a company to be part of this project. Sure. Maybe?
How about right?
All right. She got up and just made it nervous. We're your partner on these 8 projects: Merrill, Converse, Robinson, the Beloit Memorial High School Pool Addition, Todd, Hackett, and Gaston, along with Cunningham. A little snapshot of what's going on. We have over 300 precast wall panels on these projects. Everything is produced in South Beloit, just down the road, indoors. Of those 300 panels, there's over 90,000 square feet of wall and over 67,000 square feet of hollow core plank used for the roofs and the floors. Provides a fire rating and a sound dampening quality that I know the teachers appreciate. A few more stats that we're very proud of. We have 41 employees that are Beloit residents. That means not only do they live here, but their families are from here. They have kids that are going to go to school here. As they work on the plant floor, as some of these gentlemen are, there's a huge amount of pride that goes on with what they're building. Not only are they working and making a living, but they are helping to build a building that's going to sustain their family for generations to come. We have 56 employees that are Rock County residents, and we have 17 employees that were laid off. Once these projects started, they were able to come back to work and help take care of their families. So you guys can kind of imagine the amount of pride that goes on just in our facility in South Beloit. And that doesn't count all the other trades and people that are excited about these projects. Fortunate enough that I was able to go on a tour of the Merrill project the other day. And it was pretty cool when people were talking about the emblem on the wall. And I saw Tiger Pride things that were kind of all over the place. That's pretty cool. A lot of work goes into these projects. And hearing the excitement of different people talking tonight, it's pretty awesome, and it's pretty easy to see how everybody gets pretty fired up for it. Our view is a little different. We see the initial conversations that we have on just some chicken scratches on paper on how we're going to put a building together. Lots of meetings with you guys, with the architects, to try to get this design to work so the buildings function. So go to the next one. The way that it works on our end is starts off with the vision and how we're going to put the building together. It starts to go through the architect and they present drawings. We work with the architect to make the drawings better for everybody to build the building. From there, we have an engineering design team that puts each piece, so of those 300 and some wall panels, each one has its own drawing. So we've got people working on that constantly. They make it out to the, back one more on me. Sorry. There you go. They make it out to the shop floor where we start setting up the beds. This is how long is this bed? 120 feet long. It's a steel form bed, but it's coated with a high-end plywood and an epoxy resin. And we do that so that we can make samples or make wall panels that look a lot like this. We're not insured if you drop this on your computer. So you'll notice the one's very smooth and the other one has a texture to it. These beds allow us to do that. Once the beds are set up, we start pouring the concrete. That's when it gets really fun. So you see that the concrete is actually colored. It's not gray like your sidewalks. Actually, the samples you're passing are from your project. It's poured with a machine called a tucker. Go ahead to the next one. Once it's finished, it's not just, there's actually an art that goes to pouring the walls that you guys see up at your buildings. The guys go through, everything's vibrated perfectly, of course. Insulation is laid down. Go ahead. And then they go to this gentleman out here in our finishing station. He looks like an astronaut. He is not an astronaut. He's actually one of our field laborers that does all the sandblasting for us. That's what takes it from when it comes off the bed, it's the first smooth one. Once it goes through this station is when you get the texture to it. Then it goes over here to the detail station, where this lady is going through doing the final quality inspections and touching up any areas where the strand is at the end. If you go to the lower, move the mouse around, you'll see a little play button. There we go. He needs your help. Maybe it won't play. Well, I'll take my word for it. He's sandblasting the wall panels, and they look really pretty when he's done. Once they're done with that, they go on the truck and they're shipped out to the project site. This video may or may not work. But this is what we call tripping up a panel. So the panels are laid face down on the trucks. They're delivered to the site. Our crews will then bring the panel up to a vertical position for installation. On the site, we have a 5-man crew, 1 for efficiency, 2 for safety. As the panels are put into place, you can see the guys that are moving the bracing system around. Everything's already laid out. We have embeds in there. The panel's brought in, it's set down. All the elevations are shot to make sure all the reveal patterns line up. If they didn't, Steve would have called us right away. And that's what you get. So you get beautiful buildings that, as we drive around, just being the construction guys, we're very proud of the buildings. So, one, we think our wall panels look awesome. But two, we've got buildings that are going up all over town that just add to the neighborhoods. They just look phenomenal. None of the buildings that gone up are anything that you wouldn't be proud of. So we know that all the excitement going on, talking about education and where it's moving to, how Beloit is really showing everybody in this area how serious they are about education, about the students. Being able to put these buildings up, we're very proud. We know you guys are proud, and we look forward for generations to come. A few more slides of some of the projects. This is the Beloit pool. You'll see the vertical stripes on there. Those are actually dovetail slots for when the brick is hand laid, it'll be attached to the building. Project like this, we did not actually forget a wall panel. The reasons that's left out, the steel is able to be erected. We're able to come through, they're able to do their detail work. The concrete will get poured. Once all the equipment that needs to be in the site is out, we'll put the final panel in and seal it up. Here's a couple different shots of the pool and the large punched openings, which I don't know who else has been out there, but that is a pretty cool view to be able to look through the openings out towards the river. How crisp the reveals are. The architects really did a phenomenal job on putting this together. And then some of the finished product inside the gymnasium. Is there any questions? All right. Up.
Nora?
When I was reading this earlier, I was very impressed with the 17 individuals that came off of layoff, and I know everyone on our board really stressed the fact that we wanted to use local people, and it just is heartwarming to hear that you have 17 more people put back in the workforce. And I'm wondering, though, with these projects, will your reputation grow in the region so that these people could maybe retain their employment? Are you gaining some reputation outside of our area and other school districts for doing the same thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the reasons he writes me checks every week is that's what my job is. Working with you guys, working with Bray, these projects are phenomenal, and we are going to show everybody we possibly can how great they look, and also tell the story. So one of the coolest things about being part of these projects is there's a huge story to tell in Beloit. Schools love to hear that. They love to hear the good news and what a building can do. These projects have kept us very steady. We've been able to bring more work in, and those 17 people they did work today, and they will be working tomorrow for quite a while.
Nice projects, too. Wow.
Yeah, we're very proud of them.
Well, just to add, too, you think about the three general contractors and Klobuchar and CCI and Gilbank and the opportunities to work with them and the local people that are working here. And then also from a business standpoint, and you're talking to leaders in the community, having great schools is a huge attraction. So it's one full circle. We need parents who are employed, which means we need jobs. Employed parents are engaged in their children's life and their education, and it spills right back into what we're doing. So this is a small part. This is the built environment. It's really about the kids and the parents, but ultimately it does come full circle, just as you're saying, Mrs. Gard. So, good point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to give one more thanks to Mid-States for presenting tonight. You guys have done such a great job for us, and the one thing that we reiterate time and time again is how much easier the projects have went having local people involved in it, because you take the pride, and it is apparent in what you've done there. So thanks again from us.
We did have another brief construction update, but looking at the time on the clock, all of the current updates and all the current pictures of all of our schools are rolling on our website. So I encourage you to tune in and look at those, and they're updated as we go. And the most current ones are out there now as well. With that, let's move to reports to the board. First up, we have student board member report. And for our last report, Samantha, please.
Hi. I just wanted to make this really brief so I know we're short on time. Students at the high school now are very excited about the pool, speaking about the pool again. The panels are up, and people are really getting excited about that next year, and you can definitely feel the pride and the excitement in the building. Also, something that students are really talking about is the board passing the iPad initiative. I've heard a lot of positive feedback and also a lot of negative feedback. But the thing I'm most excited about is that the student body is talking about decisions that the board are making. But it's definitely something I tried to do this year is get the student body more involved in the board's decisions, because what you guys do affects them and what they do affects you guys. So I'm definitely really excited about that, and I encourage the board to work more with the students, especially at the high school level next year. And then also, last but not least, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for the honor to work with all of you. It's been a real pleasure. And thank you for the certificate. I'm very kind of sad to be leaving, but I look forward to training the next representative. I don't know who it is yet, but I'm very excited for what they'll be doing and their work with you, and maybe I'll serve with you again. So that's it. Thanks.
Definitely look forward to that. Any questions? Missy?
Well, I'm interested in the negative comments.
A lot of the negative comments were just about that students don't think it's the appropriate time with the referendum being passed, and also with they know that the budget is coming up. A lot of the students are worried that they think it's a really, really good idea. It's a positive move for Beloit, and especially for, we talked about elementary schools and special education students, but they're scared that at this moment where money is so tight, and with things going on in Madison right now and cuts, they are nervous that it's going to set us back in money-wise. So.
That is very thoughtful of the students. I have to say, I'm impressed. But thank you for that. And just another comment, I was out of town after we passed that, and I cannot tell you when I would tell people that we're going to have iPads. I was in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is one of the best school districts, and they were going, "You're kidding." And the kids were so jealous. So I've had nothing but positive, but then, of course, the other people don't know about our budget. And so I respect the students for thinking of that, and thank you for telling us.
Jen Akum?
You know, there have been times in our history when students were totally unaware of the wider world around them, and would have no idea or even concept of what was going on in Madison. And the fact that students are so aware today, are paying attention to what's going on in Madison, are forming their own conclusions, I think it's fantastic. I think it speaks well for everybody. I think it's great.
Seeing nothing else, we'll let you go on that note. But again, thank you. Thank you for this year, and thank you for all your insight. It's definitely respected and appreciated.
Thank you for letting me serve with you. It's been an honor.
Next, we have Equality Committee report. Welcome, Tasha.
Thank you. I have no PowerPoint. You're just stuck with me. Good evening. We have quite a few meetings to recap, but it will be very short. In December, we talked about ways that the district communicates with the larger community, and Melissa, who is very popular, it's very nice to come out and talked about the national organization that does research for us. And they publish an overview on what kind of communications parents want from schools, with the top 5 ways in order from 1 to 5 being email, an online portal, e-newsletters, websites, and telephone. When she presented to the committee, they were all nodding their head and in agreement with that. No one gave any suggestions in terms of otherwise in which to communicate. But she did offer, if you guys have additional feedback, please let us know how we can continue to do outreach. January, we did a referendum update, which you guys have already had that tonight. February, we did reports from the high school, Aldrich and McNeil, which we saw a lot of highlights from the high school already tonight. Each building just comes in, they talk about the different strategies that they're using and ask for support from the committee. In March, we did the same thing with the 4-5 building principals, as well as Pete Apple presented about the cohort trends over the past 5 years. He explained how great our poverty gap is, across our district. In April, Carol Campbell came back and talked about testing, which was pretty cool because she talked about it in the fall. Then all the building principals came and talked about the different gains that they made. So when she came back, the committee was able to ask different questions about the testing. And in May, we actually had our K-3 principals come to present. They shared highlights from their building. It was really nice. The piece that I really liked, they were all talking about their mascots, and they were pretty excited about that, so it's pretty cool to me. Lastly, we discussed as a committee about suffering from the community input. That's a huge thing that we struggle with all year in terms of getting more community members here. Numerous times we looked around during meetings and staff greatly outnumbered our community members. We're looking at changing the time for next year. The committee members were like, if we pushed it back, they would be more willing to come. That would be easier for them. And just at this point, we're still going to have some discussions this summer in terms of how they want to move forward and how do we become an action-oriented team versus just coming and getting data presented to us. So that was our last meeting. We ended on a high note, but also with, okay, this was this year. How do we move forward? So that'll be something we'll be looking at this summer. That's my recap. Any questions?
Excellent recap. Nora?
I don't have it in front of me, but it seems to me the last couple of years, this time of year, we've been provided a one or two sheet tabulation of all the students and all the minority students in the various schools. Is that something that, I know it's come with the equality report, but I was wondering if it's something you have.
That comes from the building principals when they do their presentation. So
we
that's
will-
not from the committee. That's usually when they do their presentations to the committee.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Let's move to committee reports. First up, Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee. Jen Winkleman, please.
Thank you, Shannon. We met on the 21st of May. For lack of a quorum, we had a nice conversation and moved a lot of things forward to this meeting. So, in a nutshell, we now, after tonight's meeting, we have a vice chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Rand. We have a Parks and Rec representative, Mr. Smullen. Thank you, Mr. Smullen, for doing that. We reviewed purchase orders over 15,000. And we spent some time talking about the 501c3 bylaws, which is, for those that haven't been following us for a bit, the district is developing a foundation for a 501c3. What it will do, is will allow us to be able to draw some new grants and new grant monies into the district. And that should help us all in the long run because it's new money to the Beloit School District, which is absolutely critical to us right now. In our business section, you'll see some purchase orders over 25,000. There were no budget adjustments, though those will be coming on a regular basis now. We spent a little bit of time talking about office reorganization. So the personnel and the business office had an opportunity about a year ago, right? Year ago, maybe? 6 months ago, less than a year ago, to have some outside folks come in and kind of look at what they do and the operations and how it works. And so the leaders and the teams in those buildings and those areas took that to heart and offered a reorganization structure and some movement structure. And so we got an update on that, and it sounds like things are working well, things are working better. And we've asked a little bit to step back and take a second review at it and see how it's working. So, but the overall response is it's very positive. This is the group of folks that if you come into the district, they now live on the first floor of the south end, and they're all happy neighbors with each other, and great things are happening in that area. So, we talked a little bit about a fund balance policy, which is moving forward. Basically, it's similar information to what we've had, maybe just an update. And then we spent a good deal of time meeting with some folks from the R&R insurance area who talked about workers' compensation and the premium rate. And it's we don't talk about workers' compensation issues all that often, and so it was a very enlightening discussion. Gave us on the board some ideas about the key challenges that are sitting there for staff right now in terms of areas to improve and ways to work with staff to minimize injuries and other issues that will come before workers' comp. And that was an enlightening discussion, and just to know that the staff and the insurance people are working diligently to reduce that number, and it has come down, and what looks like it has the potential to come down again. So all good things for us. And with that, I think we were adjourned.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Seeing none, let's move forward to curriculum and instruction with John Akin, please.
The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on the 14th of May, and we made a couple of appointments. Missy Henderson will now serve as vice chair of the committee, and actually that's a continuation from last year. And so also is Missy Henderson's appointment as the board representative to the Equality Committee, which is also a continuation. One thing we are doing differently, we've gone back to being able to meet earlier, which allows us as a committee and as a board to avoid going so late at night, and it also allows us to avoid having two committee meetings going at the same time, which in turn interferes with our ability to keep up with things that we have interest in as board members. We talked about the monthly fund development report and new development opportunities. This is an ongoing discussion in terms of grants and grant opportunities, which this district is going after as they never have before. And indicative of what's happening now are that we're going after a couple of grants, for example, one from Major League Baseball for baseball equipment, and another one from Fender Company, the people that make the guitars, for musical instruments. These are grants we've never pursued before, and these are grants we didn't even know about before. And so they're an example of the kind of thing that we're doing, and they're great. I'm just so pleased to see us looking for these kinds of opportunities and strengthening a variety of programs in our district. We also had a presentation, an abridged presentation that was made to the CISA group concerning students in poverty and students who are homeless. And Robin Stutt, who does a great job with this, is becoming recognized along with another lady who teaches works in the Janesville School District but lives in Beloit. We're becoming recognized because we're doing innovative things, and we're able, outside of the district, through a separate group doing fundraising, to put facilities in place in this community for homeless kids that have never existed before. So it's an extraordinary thing. Finally, we talked about grading and grading policies, and each department at the high school is developing specific sets of policies in terms of what grades reflect, because there's sort of a confusion about what does a grade really mean. In other words, how much is a grade affected by not handing in homework assignments or handing them in late? How much is a grade affected by behavior or lack thereof in classroom? How much is affected by the final exam, by quizzes, by other major exams, by papers that are handed in, and so on? Trying to bring clarity to that. And the clarity is all aimed at specifically getting grades aligned with what the kids are learning. So the other stuff, the behavior stuff and all that, is dealt with separately, but the grades have to do with what is the kid actually learning and what do they know, as shown by a set of tests at appropriate times that are given through the year. So that's also very interesting. It's an ongoing process. We look at grading, and I think it's fair to say that the committee also wants grading to be understandable to parents. That's very important, and so we try to make it relatively clear of educational jargon, and again, be able to communicate with clarity to the parent how their particular kid is doing in a particular class. So that's basically our report from the Curriculum Committee. Any questions?
John.
Just one, John, maybe for future items. As I read through the Equality Committee information, I'm noticing what's called a balanced assessment system that they talked about. I may have missed that in our our previous stuff, but I'm not sure I remember seeing this model. So I'm asking maybe the committee could take a look at this down the road. We talk about summative assessments, and it's WKCE, and that gets my attention right away, because I think we can do better than WKCE. So if you could put that on your committee at some point, and maybe we can have a longer conversation.
John, consider it done. It's an excellent suggestion. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions for Policy and Personnel, Nora, please.
The Policy and Personnel Committee met on April 23rd to approve personnel recommendations, and then we met again on May 14th. Our May 14th meeting followed a very long meeting, and our meeting began at 10:26 p.m. And so a lot of the members really wanted to get through the necessities of our agenda, and it was a long agenda. So what we did is we worked with a new committee. Our new committee members are Mark Rand again, and now John Winkleman. And Mark Rand was appointed as our vice president, and also our legislative representative. And then John Winkleman was appointed to our labor liaison. In addition to those two items, we approved, I think it is 3 policies for tonight that we will be voting on later. And those policies are student-attended procedures, standards for performance and payment assurance policy, and food service program guidelines. So we'll be talking about those a little bit later. In addition to that, moving on into the new year, again, we have 890 policies we're trying to update as need be, and we didn't get through all of that last year. That is one of the responsibilities of this committee. And so beginning our next meeting, June 11th, we're going to be going through the 180s and 190s series that have to do with board responsibilities. And we are working with staff to update policies as they see needed to be updated or tweaked as we move forward. So there's a lot of work ahead of us, and because our last meeting was 13 minutes, our next meeting will probably be longer than that, committee members. No, more than 14. 14. And I think that's about all we did in that short of time, but I'm very excited to be moving forward into this upcoming year because we have updated a number of our policies, and we feel as the sooner we can get through all of these policies in years to come, that whole process will actually be easier. And I thank all of the administration and committee members who've worked so hard on doing those updates thus far. So are there any questions?
Any questions? Excellent. Thank you, Nora. At this point, let's move forward with the consent list.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Nora?
I don't know. It appears as though there's 2 special meeting notices with the same date with just a little difference. In our packet, I don't know if that makes a difference, but they're pretty much the same.
There's published proceedings and then the meeting notice. It's just,
guess
we
I have to
pay
do
by the word for when we post them in the newspaper.
Okay.
So it's just streamlined a little bit.
I forgot the summary. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor of approving the consent list?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, approve the 501c3 bylaws.
Move approval.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Next, we have PO over 25,000, technology education equipment.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? During the committee meeting, I had asked whether or not we had the 3 bids.
Yep, this says this is a sole source bid. It's noted in the motion, notice in our board motion.
Yep. And, and in keeping with policy, I wanted just to ensure that the motion reflected that. And it's in the board motion.
It's in the board information.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, PO over 25,000, Sparks Schools Specialty Physical.
Move approval. This is also sole source as noted in our book.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, PO over 25,000 for Pearson.
Move approval. Again, sole source. It is a workbooks, right, that match our education work, our education materials already in the district.
Second.
Discussion? Nora?
I'm just curious with the Common Core that's required now. Is Pearson going to be the only publisher for Common Core curriculum? I'm just curious if it's our sole source for the kindergartners. Are there other sources for Common Core curriculum?
Of course.
Okay.
There's
but-
plenty of other sources. This is our current curriculum, and you don't want to call it a curriculum because it's an additive to the curriculum. It's just a series. But Pearson is one of many that will have to adapt to the core standards, and they will adapt to it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I too had a question, considering that this is a 3-year purchase of student activity books in grades K through 5, and knowing with the iPad initiative, we're rolling out 2nd and 5th grade as a starting, and hopefully, believe after year 3, all grades will be with the iPads. It was my understanding that we would see a reduction in purchase of materials. Is there an opportunity that reduction could be seen within these first 3 years as a reduction in workbooks needed?
There's always that opportunity.
Is
You
that-
looking for more?
Yes.
There's always that opportunity. I mean, there's no magic number. We're not committing to a set number per year. We're committing to a price. So, as we go forward, Janelle, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to let you know that for this purchase, 1 year was the same price as 3. We were able to discount it all together. And that part of this switches over to digital. So we're just waiting for them to be ready, and then we'll make the switch to digital.
All right, very
curriculum.
good.
That's actually a better answer.
I like that
If we look
answer.
at page 128, Shannon, it talks about they agree to move us to digital.
And I didn't know if that meant, I wasn't actually sure what that meant, if that was incorporating with the, iPad applications or how that was going to transpire. So, excellent. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, fund balance designation.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? John Acom?
Yeah, I've got several questions, actually. One question is in the motion itself, approves that fund balance be committed for the purpose of capital projects which are part of the referendum. So I guess want to be sure I understand what I'm hearing, that we're, in addition to using referendum monies for the referendum, we're going to be using fund balance. Is that what this motion actually says?
Janelle.
This item came up because once a year we go to the board and we ask if they would like to designate any fund balance for a certain purpose. And one of the things that you could choose to designate fund balance for is for capital projects.
And
That's
they're
an
capital
example.
projects within the scope of the referendum as opposed to capital projects at, say, Aldrich or McNeil?
No.
What?
Yeah, these are capital projects that we've promised our taxpayers we would do with operating dollars. So this is setting aside funds for a
Okay,
specific
so then it
purpose.
shouldn't say which are part of the referendum in the motion.
They're part of the projects for the referendum.
I think that clarification on that, John, is it's not designated referendum money to be used for projects in the referendum, but it's projects that when we rolled out the referendum, we talked about the renovation of Aldrich and McNeil and Memorial. So in the scope of the total thing, but not within referendum dollars.
Okay, well, I mean, I understand and I agree with that. I'm just, maybe the only problem now is that I'm not sure that this wording is very clear about that. But yes, I understand that.
So we
and I
could
agree
get
with
rid of
that,
the
yeah.
word referendum out of there and just go with capital projects.
How about, you could make me very happy doing that.
John Winkleman?
Or we could say, Fund balance be committed for the purpose of capital projects which are not part of the referendum if fund balance levels increase above board's goal of 18%. That's what we're talking about,
Correct.
right?
That's
It's
fine.
our ability to use fund balance for capital projects. This is above and beyond referendum. So if we say not part of referendum, that would clarify perhaps for all.
That's great, thank you. Can we have that as a friendly amendment to the motion?
Happy to do that.
And the seconder?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right, great. I have more.
All right.
I noticed on page 130, the third paragraph down under B says there is no required minimum fund balance level requirement. But I believe that we have an 18% requirement, do we not?
That's in the motion, John?
No, on page 130.
I don't.
This is presumably in the explanation of the motion. I'm concerned that it says there is no required minimum fund balance requirement, because I think there is an 18% requirement by policy. So I thought it just would be useful to clarify that since this is a public document.
Can I offer a suggestion that this is a general statement that comes from others? We have a district policy that states where the fund balance should be.
Who are these others that have provided us
I mean,
with
this is the state, right? It says you don't have to have any of that. Janelle's shaking her head as well.
Correct, yes. Fund balance, there's no requirement on the outside, including DPI, that's been sharing a lot of facts about fund balance lately, that we have to have a specific level of fund balance. Our board goal does have a target fund balance, and that's what allows us not to borrow. Allows
Okay.
us for cash flow purposes and for financial security to have reserves on hand.
Right, and we all join together in protecting that fiercely, so that's very good.
So what the first part of this 130 is doing is basically providing background to board members that haven't reviewed fund balance for a while, that see the 5 different classifications that are there that are outlined in GASB. So it's a very general statement coming from GASB and the state. It's not our board policy in B. This is giving us the overview of why we have these restricted and committed and assigned and unassigned fund balances.
Okay, well, as long as we're clear about all that, then I'm a happy camper. Thank you.
Nora?
Could you clarify that motion then? Is it going to say 18% or is it going to say something else?
It says 18% in the
Here,
motion.
okay, because
Yep.
our policy says something else, and
It says, our policy says the board's goal
Goal,
is
but-
18, and that's what this says.
our policy says range from 14 to 25, and it can be that low, and I was just curious, because if it goes by happen chance below the 14%, then it has to be, it could be a tax raise to our community, and I wanted to be sure. Yeah, that's what it says on page 134, the last two sentences. Okay, thank you, Janelle. This is a lot of detailed information, and I think you spelled it out pretty well for the 5 different categories of fund balance, and I sure appreciated it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a point, to go to Nora's point. In reading 134, perhaps policy wants to take one last look at that, because my understanding is, though it says in here, consideration the board replenish the reserve in a subsequent tax levy, we cannot tax for fund balance. So I think we need to be clear that that's not even an option for us to do. So we could do it if there is a surplus at the end of the year. Instead of spending it on new windows, we could put it in the fund balance. But we can't go out and tax to replenish the fund balance.
Okay, maybe I missed.
So, no, I think what you're reading, so maybe we need some clarity in the policy as we go through policy 662.
Okay, I'll make note of that. Thank you.
See no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have food service contract award.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
And the motion is consumer price index, food away from home, or 3, or whatever is lower, less? Okay, just clarifying.
So the motion was to approve the previously made and moved motion from the Finance Committee this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Outstanding.
With thanks to, there's been many people involved in this process. First of all, thanks to Janelle and her team, thanks to the team from Airmark, thanks to those that sat on committees and reviewed, thanks to the DPI people who it went to 3 or 4 different times that it had to go up there to have them take a look at it, though we would like them to give us a little more leeway and local control. Thank you, I'll throw that in right now. So we did make it through eventually to have this happen, so.
John Acom?
Sitting on the Student Nutrition Ad Hoc Committee, I've had a front row seat on Aramark and how they work with the district and some of the things that they're doing and some of the innovations that happen on an ongoing basis to make our lunches healthier and more attractive to our kids. And I've just got to say, it's a great partnership, and I'm very, very glad we're continuing it.
Nora?
I just wanted to add, as I read through the proposal, I was just awestruck at the initiatives that you have, the out-of-the-box initiatives you've proposed with regard to perhaps outside seating and the student store and the scholarships and et cetera. You're investing or reinvesting a lot into our district too. So thank you for taking that extra step to be a part of our community, and thank you for the hard work you've done.
Excellent. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have new fund development opportunities.
Move approval?
Second.
Seeing no discussion, all those in...
Can I ask a question?
Oh, you bet.
So John mentioned the Major League Baseball question. Just help me understand, to improve the quality of youth baseball and softball programs, youth baseball and softball within the district? Because I read that and said, whoa, who's youth baseball and softball? Because there's a lot of them in this district, in this area, so.
There certainly are. My understanding is it is within the district.
Within the
Otherwise, we
district,
wouldn't be
okay.
going after, yes.
Cool.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Next, we have Policy 431, Rule 1 DC, Student Attendance Procedures for second reading.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? John Acom and then John Winkleman.
I guess I'm trying to understand. You have a kid who comes to school with red measles or chicken pox, and they get sent home. My understanding is that those absences are automatically excused. But apparently, according to this, if the kid has lice and is sent home, the absences are unexcused. And I guess I'm trying to understand, it says here, due to privacy concerns, we cannot code absences specifically to the treatment of head lice and nits. But since lice are contagious, just like those other things, those other things being red measles, mumps, chicken pox, whooping cough, rubella, and pandemic flu, I'm not sure why one can be excused and the others not.
As Barb approaches the podium, I would also entertain a motion to extend the board meeting. We are approaching 9 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of extending the board meeting?
Yeah.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, Mark. Motion does carry, though. Barb?
Lice is considered a nuisance and not a disease.
Contagious nuisance? Whoa.
Contagious disease is it's written in the policy, and I believe that's what state regs are. But
Been
Yikes.
down that road before.
yes.
Okay, I guess we've been down that road before, and we're going down that road again, and it's just not a happy road for me, but I understand that the state rules are the state rules. Thank you.
John Winkleman?
Go ahead, Steve, if you want.
Steve?
Or on the lice.
I just wonder if a little more investigation, we would find out that it isn't an excused, unexcused thing, but an exempted, unexempted thing. That you can't use a medical excuse to get out for head lice, but you could still excuse the absence. So I think there's a difference in the terminology there, and I think we just need to review that a little bit, because I think the word is exempted a student that is out because of an illness, from a doctor excuse, that's an exempted absence, and that's different than an excused absence. So I think we'll just have to do a little investigation on that.
And John Winkleman, please.
Okay, so these are one of the meetings that we were in other meetings while this was going on. So I didn't get my kick at the cat at this one. So I am struggling. I think I understand why we are changing what we're changing. To be honest with you, I'm struggling that says somebody is present if they're here for an hour or if they're here for a class. Done. You're here. Count them as present. Not present in my book, but it appears as though present for the state regs to get us what we need to go. I'll not vote for this. Others can, just on pure principle. I just am not comfortable with that. I understand we were tougher than the state. I understand it cost us in points and grades and all of the nonsense that came out of the legislature. Got that. I just don't, I think the legislature's wrong for forcing our hand. I think it takes local control away again on this question. I think we want our kids in school learning, not show up, wave their hand, spend an hour and go visit. So I just can't bring myself to do that. I appreciate the work that went into changing it and why we're doing it. It's just, I'm not gonna vote for it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for allowing me to rant.
That's what we're here for, John. Anybody else? Otherwise, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
Thank you. Next up, policy 672.5, standards for performance and pay assurances for second reading.
Move approval.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Policy 760, Rule 1, food service program guidelines for second reading.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have personnel recommendations. Please refer to the revised Exhibit A dated 5/28/13 on your desks. John Akem?
As has been said before, once again, we're seeing some names of some very, very good and talented people here who are departing our district. And I think that we always need to say that we will miss their contributions. On the other hand, the school district has been demonstrating great ability at hiring new teachers who turned out to be great teachers, and so I'm every confidence that will continue.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? John Winkleman.
Yeah, one, it's on topic in one sense, and that goes to the hiring of new staff. I had an opportunity to go to the listening session last week, I believe. Deb Colsty and Tim Cullen in Janesville. It was an enlightening conversation. They gave us some insights into where the legislature might be going. But one of the things that struck me again, and Steve has said this over and over, is that Act 10 has some good things in people's minds, but the one thing that it does is it opens up free agency for any employee that wants to be working in a school district. And that was reinforced. There was school district from Milton there was folks from Janesville, there's obviously Tim's keeping an eye on that. That was reinforced over and over again, that the tough to find positions are going to be able to name their price. And we need to be ready for that in whatever we're doing. So maybe that's the future discussion topic for us, but I think the board needs to wrap itself around how we're going to deal with that, how we're going to pay that, because it might look differently than what we have to do now. We're pretty used to things being pretty even, and it may be different when you're negotiating with a free agent who can get big bucks somewhere and we need them to be here because we can't find anybody else. So I would urge us to do that, but it was another eye-opener for me as we sat and listened to what's going on.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Thank you, Nora. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I believe all discussion's already taken place. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up is discussion items. Are there any items of interest for consideration at future meetings? And I just wrote down the one that you had just mentioned, John.
I have one
Others?
more. One more. I was, many of us, several of us, Nora and several of us made it to various awards, academic scholarship awards at the high school over the last couple of weeks. And so great opportunity to see our kids shine, see people do great things, see our board student representative walk across the stage. In case you don't know, what they have to do is they walk up on the stage, there's an X somewhere on the stage, they're handed a packet, and they have to stand there and be embarrassed for a while everybody reads all the good stuff about them, and their parents take a bazillion pictures. So it's a great opportunity to embarrass the best students we have in the school district of Beloit. But also to hear all the great things that they're doing and what they've won and scholarships like that. It got my attention because it made me think about maybe a discussion for us as a group. Once we can get some data out of this year's class, I'd be curious to know kind of where are we in terms of numbers. It's easy to count these folks out of the book. It's interesting to know what other people are doing. And I don't know if Tom and company are doing a next year's plans list, but I know I would be interested to see that and hear we hear where some of these people are going, but we don't hear all. And it'd be interesting to know where the rest of our troops are going, because they're all doing great stuff.
Just a quick follow-up on that. One of the things that we're doing in collaboration with Beloit College and Beloit 2020 is, as they hand out caps and gowns this year, they're going to take that inventory from all the kids.
Nora.
I was wondering too if we could have a year-end report on the athletic code and how many students participated and just how that whole initiative has come to an end for this school year.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nothing further, announcement of future board meeting dates. Committee meetings shall take place on June the 11th, 2013, including Finance, Transportation, and Property, Curriculum and Instruction, Policy and Personnel. And our next scheduled business meeting will be back here in this room on June 25th. Unless there are any objections, we shall be adjourned at this time. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.